Welcome to this Language and Learning Support workshop about revision strategies. In this workshop, we will consider a range of ideas to help you prepare for quizzes and exams. Specifically, we will look at how to get started. Have you created an environment which is going to help or hinder your studies? Quiz and exam preparation strategies. There are many different ways to tackle your preparation. Maybe we can help you find a new technique. Finally, successful revision is certainly not one size fits all, so how can you adapt your study strategies to suit your individual needs? A good starting point for mapping future success is thinking about your past experiences. Think about a time that you were pleased with your grade on a quiz or exam. How did you prepare? What study strategies helped? Think about a time when you were dissatisfied with your grade on a quiz or exam. How did you prepare then? What study strategies did you try to use? What hindered your success? Keep these successes and failures in mind when you consider the ideas that are presented throughout this workshop. What makes a specific strategy helpful for you? If you have used a strategy that didn't work for you, do you need to abandon this approach, or can you modify it? Let's see if you're ready to start revising. Do you have the right environment? What can you change to improve how or where you study? To complete the next activity, you will need to pause this recording. Use the QR code and answer true or false to 6 questions about what is generally considered to be a good study environment. Then select Submit to see if you agree with popular opinion. What did you find out? You might not agree with every answer, and that's okay. Some people can study with music, but if you do listen to music when you study, make an honest assessment of whether it makes you more or less productive. Some of you may not be able to create the ideal study environment, and that's okay too. This list is to help you think about things that you could control or change. To get ready, as well as thinking about where, consider other aspects of your study environment. How is the lighting? Do you have enough pens, paper, enough data for using online resources? Are you sitting in a comfortable seat or position? Do you have enough space? Have you personalised your study area, perhaps with a picture that makes you feel calm or a photo of someone you love? So, ready. Now we must also make sure we are set. You will need to be able to answer questions such as, when are my exams? When will I study? What will I study? This stage involves really getting organised. Ready, set, then go. How will you revise? Will you always study by yourself, or could you benefit from studying with others? Now let's look in more detail at how to get set. I know you probably don't want to do it, but make a study schedule. Consider the information that you need in order to be able to do this effectively. When are your exams? How much study time do you have available? What specifically will you study in each time slot? What do you know about the exam format? What will be tested? What percentage does the exam contribute to your final grade? What scores do you need to achieve your goals? If you only have a limited amount of time, you need this information in order to prioritise based on your needs and your goals. For more details about how to create an effective study schedule, take a look at the recommended website which is on your screen. And keep in mind that to make a good study schedule, you need to be realistic about all the aspects of your life. You still need to eat, you might have to work, or you may have family commitments. Have a look at this example from a very busy student who schedules around 10 study sessions in a week, each around 3 hours long. Don't be hard on yourself if you don't have this much time to study, and don't be hard on yourself if you can't follow your plan to the letter. But do think of a plan as being the starting point for approaching your study in an organised way. You are as prepared as you can be, so now it's time to go. How will you revise? My first suggestion is to make sure you are not passive. Instead, find ways to study actively. It is important to find ways to be engaged in your revision. Think about what this might look like. How is active learning different to passive learning? Pause the recording to jot down your thoughts. Then, see if your ideas are similar to mine. Passive revision, such as copying notes word for word, reading the same information over and over, or highlighting mindlessly, are unlikely to assist your recall or your understanding. Instead, stay active. This requires you to do things with your materials, interact, mix up your study patterns, switch subjects regularly, move between things you find easier and concepts that are more challenging. Don't swamp yourself with more information than you can manage. Instead, work with small chunks of information. To keep yourself engaged, make sure you take breaks regularly and do reward your achievements. You may be asking yourself how you can interact with your materials or what strategies you can adopt to break down information into more manageable chunks. Stay with me as many suggestions will be presented in the next 10 to 15 minutes. When you are looking at the information you need to learn, try to find new ways to represent it or summarise it. Common approaches include mind maps and graphics. Here is a simple example. And here is a more complex one. Trying to present information in a new form can help you to create new connections between ideas and to remember more. Think about it. Would you rather see this information in a clear and colourful visual or a paragraph? Why don't we use an example to experience the difference? On this slide we have a paragraph. While the example is from health sciences and may be quite different to the area of your own studies, in many of our units we may have to deal with information that is delivered to us in paragraphs of text. Can you summarise this information in a visual form? Pause the recording and give yourself some time to see if you can transform the paragraphs into a more memorable form, into a format that is easier to study. Here is one suggestion. Your summary might look different to the one on the slide, but did you find a way to capture the information that makes it more memorable, more comprehensible? In this example, the information in the centre identifies the main idea of the paragraph, the negative consequences of multitasking. Each of the branches then identifies a key outcome and the main supporting ideas presented in the discussion. What would you rather study, the text or the diagram? To assist with revision, clear and organised notes can be very helpful. Some students can successfully take notes while attending lectures and tutorials and while reading or reviewing other study materials. Other students create new notes as part of their study or revision process. There are many ways to do this, but clarity and consistency are useful principles. Here is an example of a note-taking template. And here are some more examples which use ideas such as colour, headings, and diagrams. Let's use another example to explore the benefits of having good notes. On this slide we have a paragraph. While the example is from education and may be quite different to the area of your own studies, the ideas are applicable in a wide range of study contexts. Can you turn this information into note form? Pause the recording and give yourself some time to see if you can transform the paragraphs into a more easily memorable note form. Using the template we saw earlier, here is one suggestion. Your notes might look different to those on the slide, but did you find a way to capture the information that makes it more memorable, more comprehensible? While talking about notes, I'd like to make another suggestion. Notice my notes are handwritten. If you generally use a computer, writing instead can give you a fresh perspective and help you to re-engage with your study. Incorporating notes and summaries into your study forces you to review thoroughly, starts the memory process, helps you to think about what you know and what you don't know, provides practice explaining in your own words, breaks learning material down into chunks, and facilitates productive study time in the future. Let's move on to some different ideas as, aside from creating notes and summaries, many other strategies will assist you to study efficiently and effectively. I really encourage you to find active strategies to engage with your study materials. Think of interesting ways to revise and test yourself. Explore the CDU web link on the screen for a wide and varied range of memorising techniques. Think about methods you can use to test yourself. For example, study a section of your notes, cover your notes and try to write down everything you can remember. Then check what you've written against your notes and pay attention to what you got wrong or forgot and review your notes again. Other revision suggestions you might find useful. Search CDU Library to find past exam papers. Create flashcards and quizzes. Use these yourself. Ask your friends and family to test you, or even test your friends and family. Use a technique such as just a minute. Talk about a topic relevant to your quiz or exam for 1 minute non-stop. This technique helps you to retrieve information from your memory and consolidate your learning. Create study groups to learn with your colleagues. Teaching something to someone is a great way to learn. Think of interesting ways to compile information. To memorize long lists of information, think about creating rhymes, songs, or mnemonics. Record yourself reading your notes and listen back. Seek guidance from your learning materials. You will often find activities, quizzes, or review questions at the end of a textbook chapter. Don't just think about what you might write on exam day. Practice writing answers to possible exam or quiz questions as part of your exam preparation. You can find a lot of information about the best ways to organise your allocated study time. If you find a technique that suits you, you will probably discover just how much can be done in a short study period. One of my personal favourites is the Pomodoro Technique, a very structured time management strategy. The idea of this strategy is to break your study time into blocks of 30 minutes. Each 30 minutes will consist of 25 minutes of study, followed by a 5-minute break. Don't approximate. Be disciplined with these time limits. Set a timer on your phone or find a study timer online. For example, look for a Pomodoro study timer on YouTube. Don't make spontaneous decisions about what to study. Instead, plan every 30-minute block in advance. What are you going to study and when? And aim for several blocks of study in a row. Variety is an important principle of this technique, so for each study block, make a change. Change subject, or skill, or difficulty level. Another important principle is related to focus. For 25 minutes, no matter how tempted you are to check your phone, focus. No matter how much you want to quickly look for something online, focus. If you want to find out more about this technique, search YouTube for the topic How the Pomodoro Technique Can Help You Revise and Study. Finally, your revision will be most successful if you look after your other needs as well. Do your best to eat well, sleep enough, and get some exercise. Keep in mind that there are many places you can turn to for help. As well as your lecturer, tutor or professor, you can also find exam information online. The Language and Learning Support Team provide a range of information and services, including one-to-one consultations. You can also make an appointment with student counselling. The addresses for each of these services are provided for you here and can also be found easily on the CDU website. We've come to the end of this workshop. As promised, we have explored how to get started. We've considered a range of exam preparation strategies, and we've thought about individual study requirements. Thank you for your time today. Please stay in touch. You can visit our webpage to find out about other workshops and services. Or you can email us at languageandlearningsupport@cdu.edu.au.